Welcome back to the true first-person tutorial series. In this episode we will create and rig a weapon and prepare it for animations that we will create in the next episode. Before we start, I would like to say something about the future episodes, because many people have asked in the comments or sent a list of things that should definitely be included in this tutorial series. And to answer your questions, here's the list. So let's get started. First, thanks to Crystal 6, casting in the animation event isn't cheap, so yeah, we will change that now. It's pretty simple. We just go in our TFP animation blueprint there, and then we go into the event graph. No, we go in the update graph, and right now we are casting in the update animation event. So let's create the event begin play here. Let's copy our cast to the event begin play, like so. Now let's promote this return value into a variable. We call this the character reference, like so. And then we can remove this. We just grab our character reference, say get. Let's right click this and say convert to validated get. So only when the character reference is valid, then we will go on in our code here. So now it should be fixed and it's way more cheap. I did a poll on my Discord server and asked which weapon should be in the first person tutorial series. And this weapon won, so we will work with this one. As you can see, it has some attachments here. But we will remove these attachments and later we will create something in our blueprint, and there we can attach attachments. So now, first, the link will be in the description, and now let's download this model. So we click on download 3D model and make sure you click under GLB on texture size 4K or even 1K if you want to, but I'm going with 4K. So my folder will be in projects true first person tutorial, and then I will create a new folder called mesh, and in there I will create a new folder called AR15, like so, and let's save. Okay, here's the model, and now let's create a new Blender project. So here's a new blank Blender project. Let's press A and delete, and let's import this model. Click on File, Import, and then on GLTF 0.2, and here's my model, import. Okay, now you can see here is the AR15. Now let's rig this model. I know I already did a tutorial on how to rig a model, but for this series I'm just doing it again. So first we have some plane axes here, so let's remove them by clicking A, Control A, all transforms, so now everything will stay in position. And now we can delete all these plane axes and make sure you don't delete any models. Alright, now we only have the models here. Nice. So now let's save our blend file by clicking Ctrl and S. And then again let's search for our folder, and then let's call our blend file sk_AR15. Okay, if you want a material preview, then you can click on this button there, and then you can see the model with the textures. But let's start and remove those attachments here, because we only want the weapon blank, and later we will attach the attachments. Click on the attachments here, then go with tab into the edit mode. Let's go with face selection. So let's go to wireframe mode and then select the scope here, and then press delete and vertices. Now for the grip also. And I think we will leave those iron sights there, so yeah. So now we have the magazine, we have the base, the stock and the front, and our iron sights. Then we have this one, this one. Okay. So now we have to do some more things. First, let's remove this weapon here. Okay, now let's get started and let's create some bones. So press Shift A, Armature, and here we have a new bone. Let's get it down. Let's rename our armature to AR15. Let's go into edit mode. Then let's go to the armature tab there. And then let's say in front. Alright, this is our base bone here. So we'll just leave this where it is. So first, let's enable snapping. So click on this button there, and also effect on rotate and scale. Then let's click on this ball there, press E to extrude. And now we have a second bone. So press on your second bone, press Alt and P, and say disconnect bone. So now we can move this bone around. And let's get started with our trigger here. And make sure the bone will always rotate on this bigger side here. So when I go to pose mode, the bone will always rotate here. That is our bone for the trigger. Now let's create a new bone for our fire mode. And again, it will rotate here. So here's our rotation point. Only for if you want to copy this bone, press Shift and D and then move your cursor. Now for our magazine. And for our bolt. And then for, I don't know how's it called, this thing here from our bolt. So it will basically, yeah, it will turn around and it will open, and then the bullet casing will. Right now you can see our magazine has no bullets in it, but we will change that later, so we can modify this model anytime. And now let's rename our bone. So go into edit mode and then click on the magazine bone, and then click on the bone tab here, and we call it magazine. Then for the trigger fire mode switch. This was this thing here. Oh wait, it's not in the correct position right now. So from the top, I have to move it to this position. Like so. Now let's rename this to... If you have an idea how this is called, please write into the comments. That would be helpful. Thanks. I think I just called it maybe bolt lit or something. Yeah. Then our bolt here. And for our base bone, we will call it AR15. Nice. So now we have this armature, but you can see in pose mode, nothing will rotate or work. So let's set this up. So first we have to attach our models to our armature. So yeah, first let's also rename our meshes here. So you can see we have some screws here. So let's select them and then select our iron side, and let's join them together by clicking Ctrl and J. Then we have the stock and the front. Let's call it base, or let's call it stock front mesh. This one obviously our iron side. This one is our base mesh, and also iron side mesh, sorry. And then we have the, I don't know, the bold lid. Then we have bold, and then we have our fire mode switch. And the magazine mesh. So make sure on your meshes there that you make sure you don't give him the same name as your bones, because then in Unreal Engine the bones will have some numbers behind them, for example magazine 7 or something like that, because the mesh and the bone name is the same and it's just confusing for Unreal, so they will add some strange numbers behind there. Okay, so now let's select all of our meshes, then Shift and left click on our armature, Control P with empty groups, and now you can see let's move our meshes into the collection there, and now you can see they're in our armature. But it's still not rotating when we go into pose mode. So now let's set up our vertex groups. Let's start with the magazine. Here's our magazine mesh. Go into the edit mode. Then let's go onto the vertex tab. And there you can see here are our vertex groups, and they have the exact name like our bones. So let's press A to select every vertex here, and then click on magazine and make sure you hit assign. And now when we click on our armature, press and go to pose mode, then you can see we can move our magazine with this bone. Nice. So now let's do this for every other bone also. So for the trigger, and we only want the trigger right now from our base mesh here. So I just select some faces here, then I press Ctrl and L, so the linked faces will be selected. Okay, then go on trigger, assign, and now you can see the trigger is rotating. Nice. Then the fire mode switch. Select everything because it's just one model. Fire mode switch, assign. The bold, select the bold, press A, then our bold, assign, and the bold lid, A, bold lid, assign. And now the weapon is rigged, so press on your armature, go into pose mode, and now we can rotate our trigger, we can rotate our fire mode here, we can move our bolt here, we can move our magazine around, and we can rotate the bolt lid. Alright, there's one thing to do before we export this model. Click on one of our meshes, go to shading, and now we have to export our textures. Let's start with the base, and here we have the material 2. Let's go to the base color, click on this, and then use file from current direction, and then you will create this texture folder here, and here's our base color. Let's rename this T underscore AR15 underscore 2 and D for diffuse. Then the metallic and roughness. Let's copy this. AR15 2 MR for metallic and roughness. And the normal map. Just N. We also have the occlusion here, but we don't need this one, and yeah. So now let's click on the stock and the front, and let's also export the base color. Then let's call it AR15 1D. metallic and roughness, 1 MR, and 1 and N. So that are all the materials from this weapon. Okay, now let's rename our materials here. So click on front and stock. Let's rename it M_AR15_1. And for the base, M_AR15_2. Now let's check this box here. Oh, we have one material for our scope here. So let's rename this material first, M_AR15_iron sight. Then let's also export the materials and the textures here. So here we have AR15 iron sight diffuse, the AR15 iron sight underscore metallic and roughness. And this here is the iron sight emissive, and that's the normal map. Nice. What we'll do first is we will select every new texture we just renamed. So AR15-1, let's go to base color and then select AR15-1D, metallic and roughness, and the normal map. There. Make sure when you're on your normal map the color space is non-color, and also in the metallic and roughness non-color, and only for the base color. Then here for AR15-2 we will also select AR15-2, metallic and roughness, and normal map. Then again non-color and non-color. And then for our iron sight D, iron sight metallic and roughness. Here's our emissive and the normal map. Non-color, also for the emissive non-color and non-color. Alright, let's export this model. So press A to select everything, go to File, Export, FBX, SK AR15, limit to selected objects. On the geometry we smooth on the edge, armature, untick add leaf bones and untick break animation, and then export. So now we're back in Unreal. Let's go to the advanced locomotion, and then let's create a new folder here called items, then another folder called mesh, and another folder called AR15. So now let's import our new rigged AR15, and yeah, this should be fine. Hit import all. This shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, you can see he renamed this bone here because it had the same name as this bone here. So for example, we have this bone AR15, but then in our armature we also have this bone AR15. So this one got renamed, but this is no problem. So now you can see the textures aren't right now, because not every texture got imported. So let's import all of our textures here. Alright, so now let's set up our materials. AR15-1, here we have the base color and the normal map, but we need our metallic and roughness. Here it is. The blue parts go into the metallic, the green into the roughness, and the red into the ambient occlusion. Apply and save. Then AR15-2. Let's get the metallic and roughness again. B into metallic, G roughness, R ambient occlusion, compile, save. And for our iron side, you can see we have the emissive color here, but we need the metallic and roughness again. So iron side, metallic and roughness, B, G, and R. And now you can see our model looks fine, it looks like in Blender. And now you can see our model looks very, very nice. The textures are very, very, very good. And yeah, I like this model. So now we will create a base weapon blueprint. So when you want to create new weapons, you can just create a child of it, and then you can change some values there and set your models. So this will be much easier in the future. So again, advanced locomotion items, and let's create a new folder called blueprints. And there we create a new blueprint class, an actor, and this will be the weapon, the BP underscore weapon base. Let's open it up. In here we will add a new skeletal mesh called weapon mesh. Then we will create a new variable called character anim state, and this will be the overlay state here, ALS overlay state. So we can set our anim state here. So later in our anim graph here, we will change the anims based on this variable, on the state, and yeah. Then let's add a new variable called name. This will be a string. And then another variable called bullets, and this will be an integer. So now we will put them in a category here called information, like so. Compile and save. And that is our base weapon blueprint for now. In the future we will add more stuff, more stuff in here, and yeah. So thank you for watching. In the next episode we will start with first person animations. We will create a base, a Blender file for our first person animations, and we will create our first animations there and implement them in Unreal Engine. Thanks for watching, and again, it would greatly support the series if you become a channel member, so thanks to Flocker for supporting the series.